as a Nintendo investor, it's very interesting seeing people speculate on stock prices when they don't understand the market or what's actually going on. They're not actively investing in the company like I am. So they're not watching this closely. They don't see the rises. They don't see the dips. They don't know anything. And that has been very, very apparent over the past several days where people have fabricated this narrative that Nintendo's stock price is at an all-time low, that they're crashing to the floor, that things are bleak for them, that they're finished. Not going to happen. Long term, they're doing better than ever. They're basically just down from their all-time high. I've released statements about this. It's not that big of a deal. It'll gradually go up again over time, right? It is a giant nothing burger. So, with all that being said, we did have a massive dip in the last couple of days after the announcement of the Tomodachi Life Direct. Investors like myself are not happy that Nintendo has gone woke with this release. This is a major red flag for us. This is a major red flag for the shareholders, and this is something that I personally do not want. Now, I've spoken out about this before. I'm sure that the big investors people like BlackRock and Vanguard don't agree, but for me personally, it's not something I want. It's something that I intend to speak out against, using my platform to do whatever I can. What I want to accomplish is to stop this kind of thing from happening. Not just with Nintendo, but culturally speaking. It's very important to do this, I think. But I don't think we're really in a position to make that kind of change. I do think things are going to get quite a bit worse before they get better. And it's true that Tomodachi Life's woke aspects are nowhere near as blatant or insane as other companies. They still use terms like male and female, for example. But at the same time, it does need to be understood that even this is completely unacceptable. Okay. And a lot of people agree with me. A lot of people are pulling out. The share prices are way down. It's because people have no faith in Tomodachi Life, which really should have been this major hit with for Nintendo. And behind the scenes, it's very apparent to me that the games are going to do very, very well, and that the stock price is going to go back up. So this isn't some major setback. It's not some company ending decision. This isn't Bud Light, basically. Nintendo does understand their audience, and that they do understand that what they've done essentially gives more options to people. Options that you can straight up ignore if you want. So it's not that offensive. It's not that ridiculous. It's not that bad. But at the same time, the idea of it is abhorrent and should be considered as such. Morally, I cannot abide by this nonsense. And plenty of people agree with me. Plenty of people feel that this is going to be this is a sign of things to come. Okay. That Nintendo's going to go woke, and it's going to go downhill very quickly, and it's going to rapidly decline over the next several years. I can see that being the case. I do agree that we're kind of in some flux period where a ton of people are retiring and new people are taking over, and we're going to see a radical shift in direction. But I don't think this is going to destroy the company. I don't think this is going to be some big deal yet. I think things are going to have to get a lot worse before the company collapses. Even Disney, a company that's way worse in every way, shape, and form. Even Disney, it isn't nearly as they're so much worse, and yet they're nowhere near the point where people just religiously hate them and never want to support them again. It's just not really a thing for them. So when you take that into consideration, when you really think about this, when you really look at like what's happening with Nintendo, with this company, with the shareholders, like these kinds of announcements do matter. Like this should have been something that like went across very well in the community. This should have been very well received. Like it should be understood going into this, like how well this game is going to sell and how big it's going to be. But like we're in this weird position where like most shareholders don't seem to have any faith in this product. Most people seem to think that Tomodachi Life is not going to sell well, that it's not a big deal, that it's some budget game, that it's not a huge IP. They don't look at the numbers enough. Like the instant, like all these people care about is short-term profits. Essentially, they don't really look at the long-term situation. I think a lot of them don't even know like Tomodachi's history or what it brings to the table or like its target audience, like or how big it is really. Like this is like a very hotly anticipated release, and for a lot of people in the sphere, like it's just getting slept on, and I think a lot of people are going to be blindsided by how well it does. And again, I've said this for a long time, but like I don't think this situation is going to impact the sales numbers of Tomodachi at all. Like that's just kind of my expert opinion on this, is that like the short term result is that like the stock prices have dipped. People aren't happy about this. Like they've made that clear. Like the vast majority of people aren't happy about Nintendo going woke. But like people are still going to go out and buy it, and it's still going to be a massive, massive success. It seems like Nintendo has read the market correctly, and they made the announcement in the best possible way they can, where it's not going to be offensive to people like picking up the game, but it also placated like the terminally online woke retards who gave the last release a lot of bad press for not having these features. Like that's probably the big reason why this happened, is purely because of the equality movement and how they pushed this idea that there was this huge market of homos out there who would like eat this shit up. It's embarrassing. It really is. And we do kind of have to talk more about like these kind of movements and how they manipulate the way Nintendo games are viewed and how this can manipulate the market. Honestly, like it's interesting to me that like the stock prices dipped because of this. Like because I do think that like shareholders are at the point now where we tend to get spooked by this kind of thing. Like people don't want any part of this. Like like we saw what happened with the Gillette and Bud Light, and yeah, nobody wants that to happen to Nintendo. So we have to see if like Nintendo's executives understand not to be like as that they can't be like this going forward. That they are going to lose support not only from shareholders but their customers. Like this is probably like the next major step in Nintendo's decline. It's probably not gonna like come full circle for like decades, but like this is like the first major sign that probably the second major sign the company is in a massive, massive downward spiral, and it's only a matter of time until it completely collapses.